Hey, what's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Kenn Dowell. This is a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together. We do it every Sunday right here on this channel. All right, let's hit that one more time.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Kenn Dowell. This is a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together, and we do it every week right here on this channel. But when I'm not shooting this podcast, I am the owner of Strategic Resources, where we specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relations. Been doing it in this city for over 25 years, and I want to make your next move a strategic move. So this program gives me an opportunity to do just that. I get a chance to bring on some of the people we met. I get a chance, we sit down, we talk about some of the things that help us to be successful in our lives, and hopefully it's something out of that that will help you and yours. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, all I need you to do is hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell as well, so you'll know the next time this program coming on. So without further ado, what we're about to do is we're going to get started for today. And so before I get this program started, I want to give a special shout out, and we're going to say, well, not a special shout out. I guess we can call it a special shout out. We're going to just give a quick shout out to DJ True, our podcast producer of this program. What's happening in there, DJ?
What's going on, Ken?
Every day is a holiday.
Good to be back.
Holiday. It's good to be back. We're getting started. We had a long election season this year, and we're finishing it out with somebody who I told when I first met her, I said, you know what, you're going to be a judge one day, because she had the perfect name. And I told her that when I first met her, and it's a really busy election season. So I wanted to make sure we squeezed her in before. I promised we was going to do this. So we getting it right in at the very end, but she's on the program today. So looking forward to that. What's up? What else you got going?
Same here, trying to help these elected officials get in office. So I'm doing my due diligence. We had a good boots on the ground campaign. So we finishing that up. So everything is love.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to get right to it because, we're here for a short time, not a long time. All right. Well, let me get that right. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get this going and we're going to get started. Today, I'm excited to welcome Magistrate Joy Kennedy, a dedicated public servant and a candidate for Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court. Joy's story is one of professional achievement. It's her testament to her commitment to justice and rooted in greater Cleveland and this community. So, Joy, we want to welcome you to our program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Thanks for coming on, man. Like I told everybody, I met Joy when she first came out of law school. Here, I done got old in this game, man. I mean, straight out of law school, and she didn't even have no babies then, and she had 2 kids, everything, and now she's going off to become a judge. So, Joy, why don't you tell the people, because you've been on the campaign long enough, I can give you this. You get this down to a sign. Give me your 2-minute spiel.
2 minutes.
I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. Give me your
all
2
right.
minutes. Oh,
you know,
2 minutes is a long time, y'all.
Speech.
Yeah, well, give me that 1 minute stump speech.
Well, we'll see how long it takes.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see how long it takes.
I'll get started. So I am Joy Kennedy.
Yes.
Better known as Magistrate Joy Kennedy.
There we go.
Because I'm the magistrate in the Cleveland Municipal Court. But I'm born and raised right here in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm a graduate of Shaw High School. I went on to receive my undergraduate degree from Hampton University, and I have a master's degree in social work. I am a licensed independent social worker here in the state of Ohio. So when I graduated from my master's program, I worked with families and children. And working with these families, the kids were in foster care. I wrote their reports when they went to court. I helped them when they had transitioning issues with their family, whether it was their foster family or their biological family. And then when they went to court, I took them. But when we got to court, for whatever reason, the judge didn't want to hear from me. He wanted to hear from one of the attorneys. And I don't know if it was because I was a female, because I was Black, or because I wasn't an attorney. that they didn't want to hear from me. And so the only thing that I could change was the fact that I was not an attorney. So I decided to go to law school so that I could go back before those judges and give my legal as well as therapeutic position on those families. And that's what I did. I came home and went to Cleveland State's law school. The same day that I graduated from law school, I was hired to be a Cuyahoga County public defender. I worked in that office for 17 years. I helped parents gain custody of their children. I helped children who were facing delinquency matters. And then I helped those adults, whether they had lower level misdemeanors or death penalty cases. I'm trained as a certified death penalty attorney in the state of Ohio. I was trained to handle our mental health court, and I did our drug court and veterans court. So I have the experience, and I want to serve with compassionate justice. So that's what I want to do.
So that's the stump speech, Joy, and that was great. Now we got a whole idea of what Joy is, so we're going to break it all down.
Break it down.
We're going to break it down. We're going to start in East Cleveland.
EC,
so you grew up
baby.
in East Cleveland. One of many sisters, brothers?
I have one brother.
One brother.
One brother.
You the oldest, younger?
Oh, you know I'm the oldest.
You the oldest?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. And y'all both grew up in East Cleveland?
We grew up in East Cleveland. I had my mom and my dad, my grandparents. My whole family was raised in East Cleveland, which is unique because although I was here in the city of Cleveland, I didn't travel all around Cleveland. So navigating the Cleveland streets in Cuyahoga County was a challenge. From all the way to your eastern Euclid side, going all the way over to North Royalton and Westlake.
Right.
Even different sides of Cleveland. I've never been there.
You know, I can relate to that. Because there's even some places now you go to and you be like, man, I've never even been over here. Where are we? You get lost a little bit sometimes. So I could get that. So it was you and your brother growing up in East Cleveland. How old is your brother?
He's 4 years younger than I am.
4 years younger than you?
Yep. Okay. And he's about 40.
So y'all never was in school together?
Elementary. We were elementary together.
Yeah.
And by the time when I graduated from high school, he was going into his 9th grade year.
So what was high school like for you? We'll go to high school. What was high school like for you? You went to Shaw, right?
Very active.
Yeah.
Involved in all kinds of activities. Not a master, though, of many of them. Like I played basketball.
Okay.
I did softball for a few minutes. And then I was in the band.
Okay.
Now, band, I played the flute.
Okay.
All the way from elementary school all the way up through high school.
Oh, okay.
But then I wanted to be a dance girl. So let's put that flute down and try out for the squad.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I tried out for the flag team, and guess what? Got into a fight. And if you get into a fight,
you're out.
You're out.
So what you get in the fight for?
These boys were messing with me. And
so you're in a fight with a guy and they kicked you out?
I mean, fighting is fighting and rules are rules, right?
All right. So now you got to tell us. So what was happening? What happened?
Well, I had a purse.
All right.
As all girls did. But you got personal stuff in your purse.
Oh, the guy.
And the guy took my purse. And I'm like, give it back. Give it back. Give me my purse back. It wasn't really about the personal stuff, to be completely honest. It was about the bottle of jail. And if you drop my purse and jail gets all over everything that I have, we're going to have a problem.
Right.
And so, sometimes we get out of control, and fighting is against the rules and there are consequences. So I had to face those consequences.
So you tried to, so he took your purse. You was just beating him trying to get your purse back.
Exactly.
That's what it sounded like.
But it was a fight nonetheless. So,
so you got kicked off the squad.
I did, but I'm not a quitter, right? And so I still wanted to do the whole flag squad thing. I played the flute, but when you transition from high school to college, you must transition for my band or my college band from the flute to the piccolo. And I didn't want to do that. So I tried out for the flag squad, and I was a flag girl. Yes, at HBCU, Hampton University.
So let's talk about, how did you end up picking out Hampton? How did Hampton
college tour?
Really?
A college tour. So I was always involved in things. I never went straight home after school. I was involved with the Upward Bound program.
Oh, I remember.
And I did Upward Bound, and I went on college tours. And one of the tours was to Hampton University.
Okay.
We did Hampton, Howard, Virginia State, maybe UVA and another school. And back then, I had to pay for my college applications. My
Okay.
parents worked,
Mhm.
but money wasn't always flowing so heavily that you could do whatever you wanted to do.
Mhm.
So I paid for the colleges that I wanted to apply to. And Howard was $75.
Mm.
Hampton was $10.
Really?
I went to Hampton.
So it was because it was $10. Wow.
But listen, it was a decision that you thought was rooted in one thing, but you were really rooted, grounded, and given
Mhm.
so much opportunity by going to a HBCU. And I
Mhm.
would encourage all of our children to do the same.
So where is Hampton?
Hampton is in Virginia,
Okay.
right on the water. We
Mhm.
call it our home by the sea.
Really?
Beautiful campus. The water is right there on campus. So you can sit by the water and study
Mhm.
or meditate or talk to your friends. It was a beautiful campus.
Mhm.
And again, I am so grateful. And no, I wasn't grateful when I went.
Mhm. No.
After that first year,
Mhm.
I'm not going back. I
Really?
ain't going back there. I want to be home.
Mm.
I want to be with somebody in Cleveland, my friends, my boyfriend,
Right.
all that good stuff. But my
Mm.
mother said, yeah, okay, get your stuff and get in the car
Wow.
because we're going back.
Wow. And so the first year was a little rough.
First year was just rough because I was away from
Homesick.
home,
Yeah. Right.
my friends,
Mhm.
my boyfriend at the
Mhm.
time. But everything happens for a reason. That boyfriend wasn't a boyfriend for the full 4 years,
Mhm.
just for a little while until you realize, no, we better than that.
Wow.
There's so much more out there in the
Mhm.
world,
Mhm.
and I was able to see it.
But he wasn't at school with you, no?
No.
So he was back here at Cleveland.
Back here,
Mhm.
trying to get me to come home, trying to encourage me to be home.
Mhm.
But, God had another plan.
Was he doing anything here, or he was
Bothering me?
Nothing but to come back to him, right? Just when you
Nothing
come
but
out.
asking me what I'm doing on campus and having me feeling self-conscious and having me in the dorm not out having a good time. But again, everything happens for a reason. So after that first year, I said, all these boys here, all these people here and all these things to do, let me get out and enjoy myself. And I did.
So you actually started to take in the college experience.
College.
Okay.
Enjoy college.
What kind of student was you in college?
I was an honor roll, merit roll student. I graduated with greater than a 3.0. Don't remember because it was so long ago. I graduated from college 30 years ago.
Don't seem like it.
But
don't it be
time
like, wow.
flies. 30 years ago.
That's wild. College.
Exactly. I couldn't see getting out of college.
Right.
I just can't wait to get out of here.
Right.
Now you're like, it wasn't as bad as it felt.
That's interesting. And what about so you're saying that everything in college, what made you I guess the question, I'm gonna back it up. What did you graduate? What was your major when you left before you went to your graduate school?
I majored in social work.
So what made you pick social work?
I saw, well, first I'll say I wanted to do accounting, right? A business major, but it was when you were adding everything up by hand and the one number off could mess up the entire book. And that was very puzzling and very stressful for me. So I was going in as an accounting major, but I was listed as undecided.
Okay.
They told me you need to do a remedial reading class. Who, me? All right. I didn't test well. I didn't test well because I didn't prepare well.
Okay.
And so that was a lesson that I had to learn. But my math score wasn't as high as it should have been either. So I was in first level up math class, but I had to go another step to be into the first level for that accounting class. So as an undecided major, I kind of wrestled with that. But then I thought a lot about some of the issues that my family faced growing up. Foster care, not for my brother and I, but for relatives, alcoholism, and wanting to be that peace for others, wanting to help them. And social work was not on the horizon, but definitely an offered major and something that really piqued my attention. So
a little public service work and whatnot. So you finished up at Hampton and you decided you were going to go off and go to graduate school.
Absolutely.
And where did you go there?
Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU.
So you stayed in Virginia?
Stayed in Virginia. Virginia is beautiful.
Okay.
Virginia is a lovely place. They have
Mhm.
all 4 seasons, but none are as harsh
So you'll get the Cleveland winter.
as our Cleveland winters. They
Okay.
have winter, but
Okay.
it's nothing like ours.
I got you.
But I enjoyed it there.
Okay.
I received a master's in social work,
Mhm.
and I had a friend who was from the DMV,
Okay.
the Washington D.C. area.
Mhm.
And so after I graduated, I moved up a little further
Mhm.
and was right outside of Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
I worked on the mall. I worked in D.C., but I lived in Virginia, in Springfield.
Right.
But it was on the train line.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was in the hustle and bustle of the city during the day, and I could retreat to Virginia at night.
What was you doing there?
That's when I started working in foster care.
Okay.
And that's when I was still in my 20s.
Okay.
So they connected me with the teens
Okay.
because I was the best person to relate to them because I wasn't too far removed. They would listen to me or tell me some of the things that they wouldn't tell someone that was a little bit older. So it was a great training ground to get to know kids.
So what exactly did you do there?
I was a therapist.
Mhm.
I was a case manager.
Mhm.
And I worked on reunification with the children.
You
So-
ever find them back with their parents?
Reunifying them with their parents. But at the time, if they were in the foster home, how do we make this work?
Mm.
How do we deal with some of the issues that Johnny faces or that he won't open up to you about, but will talk to me about, and we can maybe make a bridge so that while he's here or in the meantime, we all can survive and he can grow and develop and then be returned to his biological family.
And how long did you stay and do that?
I was there for about 4 or 5 years before and so while I was there, remember that fax machine?
Mhm.
The fax machine had jobs that would come across.
Okay.
And there was a job at the public defender's office.
Here in Cleveland?
Nope, in
No?
Washington, D.C. And I actually transitioned over there. So
Wow.
the job was to be a program developer,
Okay.
develop the program so that when the children went to what we call their disposition hearing,
Okay.
you would be able to, as the lawyer, say there's a GED program
Okay.
here,
Okay.
there's a therapeutic program there.
Mhm.
We have contacted and connected with those individuals.
Mhm.
And Your Honor, if you let this child out, we will ensure that they enroll in these programs. And so I had to identify the programs for the attorneys.
Okay.
And it was also a test. Can I be an attorney? Do I have what it takes? Let me meet with, be around some of these attorneys to see if I can do that job. And if I can, then maybe I'll go to law school.
So how long was you out of school before you decided to go to law school?
6 years at least.
Really?
At least 6 years.
Then you said, I'm going to go and
Mhm.
so I think I'm going to go to law school.
I'm going to go to law school so that my voice can be heard, because it was as if as just a social worker,
Mhm.
there was no oomph
Okay.
behind my words.
Yeah, and social work is a thankless job.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's why so many people get burnt out on it, and the turnover is so quick because it's a lot of hard work, and it's most people who get in it is exactly like you say, they get in it for the whole fact that they really want to help. You don't get into social worker for the money. You get in it because you really want to help.
Not for the money.
And when you do those kind of jobs, you can get burnt out really quick.
Very easily.
Yeah. That's interesting. And so where did you decide to go to law school? Where did you go?
So law school wants your first year to cease working.
Correct.
Not working your first year and focusing solely on your studies,
Mhm.
which makes sense.
Mhm.
And I was living in the DC area where the cost of living is pretty high.
Correct.
I was single, no children, not married, any of those things. But there was a boy who kind of had a little twinkle in my eye. And he was here in Cleveland. So he told me about Cleveland State, because when I left, I was done by Cleveland. He said, well, have you considered Cleveland State? No, absolutely not. I had considered Howard and George Mason or another school in Washington, D.C. area, but I hadn't considered Cleveland until he mentioned it. So he put the little bug in my ear about Cleveland State. I considered it after a little And then I applied. But my grandmother was also here.
Okay.
And I was her favorite granddaughter.
Oh,
So her only granddaughter.
I was about to say, you got to be her only granddaughter.
I couldn't be her favorite.
I knew you had to be her only one.
So
most people are when they say that.
Exactly. So I wanted to be close to her,
Mhm.
but there was still that twinkle in my eye who brought me back home to Cleveland.
Okay.
And I married him.
I was hoping so, because I was like, boy, you be letting these dudes. But so far, I was like, if this one the first one you said, screw it, I ain't gonna let you get
Exactly.
But this one you kind of held on.
I held on, and we've been married for almost 20 years.
Yes, I know. Because my kids, you would be for the kids.
Right. Exactly.
Right. I'm 26 years. So yeah,
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. So married 20 years, you decide to go to law school, you ready to get things up and going. You did your time at Cleveland State, and now you decide I need to find me something in law. Where did you go?
So I went to the public defender's office, but that was toward the end of law school. I worked at a large white, I can't think of the name of it, a large West Side law firm. Then I worked downtown at Forbes Fields and Associates. And then I worked at the public defender's office while I was in law school. When I first came back, I did check with them to see if I was going to work and go to school because Cleveland State has a part-time program.
Okay.
But the pay was so low for a social worker that I said, you know what, I'm going to focus on my studies like they said I should. So I stayed. I did a little bit of social work when I first came back. I received my license here in Ohio and provided counseling throughout law school on an individual basis with different agencies. And then I got a job with the public defender's office. That was the last job before I graduated. And then on the day that I graduated, I was hired as a full-time attorney with the public defender's office.
And how long was you there before you left?
17 years.
You did 17 years there. Let me ask you a question. With over 17 years in public defense and attorneys, as a public defense attorney in Cuyahoga County Public Defender's Office, what is the most memorable case and what did you learn from it? Oh, we're about to get serious now.
One of my most memorable cases wasn't even a criminal case. It was an abuse, neglect, and dependency case. That is where there was a parent, or actually both parents, fighting for custody of their children.
Okay.
That case still speaks to the social worker in me. The mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and the father was as well. But they were living and working in their community with medication or assistance. But what a lot of people don't understand is that when you are carrying a baby, what you eat and consume goes to that child. So the mother chose to stop taking the medication while she was carrying the children. She was closely monitored. But as she got toward the end of that pregnancy, and when she gave birth, she began to spiral, showing signs of anger or aggression or symptoms of her diagnoses. And so when they came in, when the children were born, the social workers come in and they see her seemingly out of control. They said, well, you can't care for any children ever. And if he has the same diagnosis, he can't either, which wasn't fair to me. So I get this case and I say, well, what's the problem? Well, she was angry, or she was aggressive toward the doctors or the nurses, or even the husband at the time. Now, even if you don't have a diagnosis, you might be aggressive toward that husband at the time that you're giving birth and going through some stressful stuff. But she had a diagnosis and wasn't on her meds. So my thought was, let's get her back connected with her provider and her services, whether it's medication or therapeutic services or whatever she needs, before you ask for permanent custody of those children. And while they were asking for permanent custody, we were not. And when you take a child away from a parent, the bond is broken. They don't get to react to and understand and develop the relationship with their parent if you automatically remove them and don't allow them to visit. And they wouldn't allow her to visit often. So that prohibits her from breastfeeding and again, bonding. And so we advocated, we fought, and we won. She was able to keep her children. They were initially taken from her, but they were given back, and we were able to get increased visitation so that she can continue to bond and continue to produce and care for her children. And she ultimately got her children back. But if we went with status quo and just said, okay, she has a diagnosis and she can't have her children, then that would have been unfair for the mom as well as her offspring.
Wow. So that was before, that didn't have anything to do with the public defender's office.
There was a public defender's office because in that role, I represented parents. Parents who were seeking to keep custody of their children, retain custody or receive.
I'm with you. I'm back with you again.
Custody of their children. So we represented parents.
What is the biggest misconception of working in the public defender's office for people?
And that is a passionate answer for me. The biggest misconception about public defenders is that they don't work, they don't care, and that they are not real attorneys.
Right.
And I am just as real as a public defender as a prosecutor is, or just as real as a private attorney, as a civil attorney, as any other attorney. If I am a public defender. Of course, I'm not in that role anymore, but public defenders are real attorneys who have real experience and who are in the courtroom every day.
Do you believe that the public defender's office receive as much resources as the prosecutor's office?
I don't. I don't. But I think that the public defender's office is doing an excellent job in getting those resources, getting additional resources.
Well, why is it that way? Why do we spend more? And Joy, I want you to understand, we pre-record. So if there's anything I said that you be like, I just don't want to say it because what you got coming up, I understand, and just say that and we'll cut it out. I just question, why do you think it's that way?
Because people don't believe in public defenders. If you don't believe in a public defender, or if you think that they are bad, then you won't give them the resources that they need, right? If you don't think they're real attorneys, why would you give them the money and the resources that they need, even though they are?
So who runs? Like, I understand there's a but like, who's governed by that? Who governs that?
What do you mean?
Like, we know the prosecutor is the prosecutor. We know there's a public defender,
a chief
public defender. The prosecutor kind of reports to the public, I guess you can say, because we vote him in. Who do the public defender reports to?
Well, there is a board that is responsible for that, but the legislature provides for it, and it has been provided for many, many years. And there are those people who understand the need of representation, the need to represent those who don't have the means to hire representation for themselves. So again, it's the public perception that is so important.
Do you believe that that position should be an elected position?
No.
No. Why not?
We don't need to. I just don't think that it needs to be an elected position. But I think that is why the prosecutors have more presence in the community.
And maybe that's why I'm believing that it should be an elected position, because I believe that you should have a right to make sure that you're getting free representation on both sides. And the way we're set up now, I don't believe is fair. I believe that you have the prosecutor who is elected by the people, which means that he makes a lot of political decisions on how he does his thing and moving forward, and how he reports back to the people. The prosecutors or the public defender's office doesn't have that, and it doesn't get the resource. It doesn't get all the necessary things it needs, because that position isn't publicized out there in that regards. It's sort of like, oh, you got a public defender, you didn't go get a lawyer.
That's the connotation.
But that's the kind of way they want it. It seemed like if you made it out there, you'll get better results, right?
I think if you made it out there, you could get better results, but making it out there doesn't mean that it has to be an elected position. Doesn't mean that. And I think that if it's an elected position, then it may change the work or the way that the work is done for the people. That's simply my position or opinion.
Well, isn't it elected in other places though?
I don't know.
No, I think it is in other, like New York and other places. I think they do elect their public defender.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on. Now that you're running for judge, what fresh perspective do you aim to? What did you bring that you would like to bring to the bench when you become judge?
Fresh perspective.
Fresh perspective. You know, now you're running. I know you got some fresh perspective. Anything you've been saying, like, you know, when I get there, I think I would really like to do this.
The first thought is my background, right? Trained as a mediator, trained as a therapist, trained in conflict resolution. That's what I bring with me. And I think that's different than what others bring. I have practiced in this field for 20 years. So having practiced in the field and having had a career prior to this, I think those two fields together will make for a dynamic judicial officer and will allow that compassion that I have to come out in the courtroom. I also believe that we are facing a mental health crisis right now. There's so much trauma that not only have the individuals from my community experienced, but in general, we are almost considered trauma-ridden. And you want someone in front, or you want to be in front of someone who understands the trauma and understand what it means to work through that. Everybody doesn't need to go to prison, but some people do. Some people do. And you want someone with the temperament and the ability to make that sound decision. And I think I have that.
As a judge, will you be have the ability to create maybe programs or anything like that you think it will be able work pulling on your experience that you think? Like, I know they always have like these drug courts and all these special different courts, mental health court and all of that. Is that something you're interested in? Or?
Well, we absolutely have mental health court already in place. So of course I want to be a part of that. Of course, being a part of that would mean that much more when you have someone who's done it before and who kind of understands and has the ability to navigate the system or has done so in the past. The other piece is I find myself willing to listen to some of the programs that are out there because I was always looking for them. Some officers of the court are unfamiliar with the programs and don't know what it is that's available that can be used in lieu of incarceration. And I'm open to hear and listen to those programs and see what kind of funding they have and whether or not you can meet the needs of a person that is in front of me so that we don't have to use incarceration as a first option, but more so as a last option.
How do you believe, as a public figure, how do you plan to engage with the community to ensure that their voices are heard? So let's expound a little bit on what you just was talking about.
So one of the things that I found is that while running, I'm everywhere. If you've been out in the community at any event, and I hope you can say you have seen me, I'm out there because I want to hear what is going on in the community, not from someone else, but because I am present and available. And I want to continue to be that way, continue going to the different programs. I've gone to a number of programs that have kind of opened my eyes to what is happening, how it's impacting those who are family members of individuals involved with the court, but how it's impacting those who are involved with our system.
So let me ask you, as it relates to going into this new thing and going into court, is there any particular kind of cases you really think I can see that family court might be, family court is something different than where you're going. You're going to be straight. So everything yours is going to be a lot of capital murders and that kind of thing, right?
It can be from misdemeanors all the way up to felonies of the first degree. And that does include capital.
And you got some experience with capital.
I was certified to handle our death penalty cases here in Ohio. I've handled those while a public defender. I've handled cases on our mental health docket, our drug court, our veterans docket. So the good thing about my experience is that it's broad.
Mhm.
and that the cases that come before this court are the very cases that I handled on a daily basis.
What you think is the best quality you have in being for going for this job?
One of the best qualities,
What makes you? What you think that you know what this quality I have is why I think is what makes me the best person for this job.
I want to say that my temperament, but
Okay.
that's not enough,
No.
And when I say temperament, it is the ability to hear and see a lot of things going on and not respond irrationally, but with some thought, purpose, and reason behind it. And I think I can do that. One of the things that I pride myself on is being thorough in my decisions, even now on the bench as a magistrate, but also being very thorough when I handle my cases. There wasn't anything that you could tell me about my case unless you were the case. And I think that will hold true when I handle those cases in front of me, because I want to be able to justify my decision. If I send you to jail for 100 years, there's going to be reason behind that, not just I'm mad or something other than you deserving it. So I believe in a statewide database that they've talked about in the past that we don't have yet. But what I intend to do if elected is to start my own database. And what that means is, sometimes people will come and they say, well, Johnny had an F5 and she had an F5 and you let her go. Well, here's why. I want to be able to not explain it to you, but to understand within me why I'm making those decisions. So that way, you know that you're not being biased in the decisions that you make. I've seen it. I've seen the treatment, the unfair or biased treatment by the judges in the courthouse. I've seen judges treat me some kind of way that you're like, wow. Even attorneys get treated like that. So some are equal opportunity jurists who treat everybody in a way that could be considered or deemed unfair. But I don't want to be that type of person. I want to rule with fairness.
Fair judge. We're gonna do our speed round questions for you.
Uh-oh.
If you can name one person you
Is
could
this
trade
it?
places, this is it. We're going through speed round.
Okay.
If you can name one person you want to have lunch, or if you could trade places with for one day, who would it be?
I would have had somebody else, but we got to come back to that one.
Really? Okay. What's your guilty pleasure?
Potato chips.
What kind?
All of them.
All of them.
I love potato chips.
I've been on this potato chip craze. You know what I've been eating a lot of for real?
What's that?
Ruffles.
They done came back, baby.
I don't know why I've been
The regular Ruffles.
The regular Ruffles.
Absolutely.
Just plain Ruffles, man. I've been so I can understand that.
I love
don't know
potato
why.
chips.
I've been into those. Lately.
All of them.
Really can't. What's the best compliment you ever got?
Best compliment is that you're nice, and I'll take it.
Really?
Yep, I'll take it.
That's the best compliment. Somebody say you were nice.
You were really nice. Thank you. That's all I got.
And that got you.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Because that could be a whole lot of other things to people. At least they could say that. But I'll take it. If you think I'm nice, you're right. I am.
That's beautiful. All right. Something you wish you was better at?
Singing.
Really?
Yes, I love to sing. And
now, you say you want to be a rapper, right?
Yeah, I was a rapper too. I mean, I did it all. I told you I did everything.
Just rapping, okay. What's the worst piece of advice you ever got?
The worst piece of advice that you can ever receive is when a person says, all you got to do is, and then you fill in the blank, because it's never that simple. And I listen for that. All you got to do is. I ain't doing it.
What never ceased to make you smile? What you think about all the time when you're kind of down or whatever, you kind of think about it and makes you. It could be a first date. It could be anything. What's the thing that makes you smile every time you think about it?
My friends in college joke about how when I had enough in class, I would just get up and leave. But I would do it methodically. fold up my paper and
you preparing to
all my
leave, didn't you
stuff,
leave?
put it in the bag, step over everything. Bye, y'all. And I just laugh because, a lot of times a lot of people may not have believed in me, but I believed in myself. And so it's like, you didn't think I was smart, or you thought I couldn't and that I wouldn't and I won't, but I did.
Wow.
I'm here. Hello.
So we're going back to number one.
Mm-hmm.
You could trade places.
Places.
I'm gonna give you either trade places, or if you could sit down with anybody for one day to talk with.
You know what? It would probably be my grandmother.
See?
My grandmother was an amazing woman, and remember, I was her favorite.
With your grandmother.
I was
your favorite too, right?
So because I was her favorite, there's some questions that I want to ask her now that I didn't have then, because I asked her everything I wanted to when she was here. But now that I've gotten older, I have more questions like, well, whatever happened to, well, how did you get through? What happened when? Which were thoughts I didn't have back then.
That's a great answer. That's a really great answer. Well, Joy, we want to thank you for coming on our program. You did an excellent job, and you stayed right within our time. We got 1 minute.
Hey, I got a question.
Hold on, I was getting to you.
I got a question. Golly, can I get a question?
Let me get my.
Can I get a question off, please, sir?
Question in, sir. I was just trying to tell her we got 1 minute to spare. And I was going to let DJ True.
You forgot about me, kid.
His brother.
You forgot about your boy.
I was going to let DJ True ask you a question, but I was going to let you know that after he asks you a question, that this camera right here belongs to you. So I wanted you to get prepared, because you get to close us out. So you get to say whatever you want to say to the camera, whatever you want to make sure people know how to reach your campaign for the last go round, and make sure how they can donate to your campaign and all of that. And anything else you got on your heart. But True, what's your question for our guest today?
All right. My question is, why do you think people are so skeptical about the legal system? And as a judge, how would you correct that or make people feel less skeptical about the legal system?
Good question, DJ True. I think that people are skeptical of the unknown. They are afraid when they go into a courtroom that something bad is going to happen to them.
You ain't coming out.
And they're not coming out.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what it is, quite frankly. I remember sitting down with the head of the public defender's office after having been there for a number of years, because I was stopped for a traffic violation and I was shaking in my boots. And I'm like, I've been an attorney for a long time, but I don't know how to handle a traffic case. How do you have me working here? And our office handles these kind of cases, but I don't know what to do, and I am scared.
Right.
If people don't understand the system, then they're going to fear the worst.
That's correct.
And so a way to change that is to educate those people. But it's hard to educate people who don't want to be educated. So for those who want to learn and who open up their minds, it is a way for them to learn. And the public defender's office has established a new outreach branch so that they can be seen in the community. Right. People can ask them questions just like the prosecutors are in the community, and they're able to do this without being elected. This allows you to say, hey, I got a problem. Now, what do I do about blah, blah, blah? And they can at least point you in the right direction. Or they can ask you a question related to what's going on with their type of case. Okay. So I think that that is a very valuable tool, but I think that people are afraid, and that I am willing to speak to the community because I know how valuable it is to hear from someone who is inside the system.
Now, I think that fear factor is real. Just like you say, I mean, the very first time I ever had a case, everybody, you get that first ticket, you go to court, you, like you say, you walk in there, and most people be like, you gonna get away, you gonna get a fine, but you sitting up there like, no, I just saw him put her in jail for less than that.
Exactly.
That kind of thing, and that bugs you out. Yeah.
When I got that ticket, I had a friend who was a prosecutor. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Are you going to come with me? Now, I want my prosecutor friend to come with me to be prosecuted. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I was a whole attorney.
Right.
So that changed the way that the office actually dealt with rotation of the attorneys and giving us access to the different levels of learning.
Excellent.
So that we wouldn't, how your own attorney going to be scared?
Right, exactly.
So.
You good, Drew?
Yeah, and I just found 2 states that have elected public defenders. One is California and one is Florida.
Oh, I thought it was 2 out there.
We'll see.
All right,
That Google's works.
That Google works. TP back there working.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So, Joy, like I said, you get a chance to look right in this camera. Take your time. You don't have to rush. Please take your time. Make sure you get all your information out to the people and let them know what's on your heart and how they can reach out to your campaign.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you after all these years. I finally made it to the table.
Finally got to the table.
I am finally a few days away from this election, and I'm grateful.
Thank you.
I am grateful for all the work that everyone has put in to get me to the position that I am in right now and opening the door for the opportunity for me to serve with compassionate justice. I share with everyone my background and my experience. The fact that I'm a social worker and trained in mediation and conflict resolution and behavioral therapy modalities will help me as trauma comes before the court. I look forward to being able to serve on the bench, a bench where there has been very limited access to minorities like me. Since 1850, 174 years, there have been 13 African Americans elected to the General Division bench. I've done the research. I've done the research because there's no way you can tell me that there haven't been qualified individuals. There's no way you can tell me that we don't have the ability to serve in a court where more than 85% of the people who come through that court look just like me. As a licensed independent social worker and an attorney for 20 years, it is my goal to not only bring joy to the bench, but to make sure that anyone who comes in that courtroom receives fair and just treatment. You can reach me on Facebook and Instagram at Joy Kennedy for Judge. And you can reach me in my website at joykennedyforjudge.com.
Joy Kennedy finally made it here on our show, and she's going to finally be a judge, guys. I remember the day I told her that was in McDonald's over on 152nd and St. Clair going to one of our bill meetings, and she walked in and we said, Joy, you're going to be a judge, and joy to the world, because Joy is going to be a judge, y'all. And it's just in a few more days. We're a few days out. So please, anything you can do to help her on her campaign, please go to her website and go donate to her campaign, because she can use it all to help move this thing forward. And go to her website and make sure if there's anything you like to do to maybe help out on the campaign, you can do that as well. So till next week, thanks for watching our program. We'll see you then. Peace. Good job, Joy.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. So we're going to go on. I'm going to do you tonight. And so we're going to start sending out shorts. You're going to be going up. I got to get you going right away.
Thank you.
So I'm going to run maybe 2 or 3 shows this week, because I got everybody back to back.
Okay. I wish I knew how to do the Googles and the Instagrams and all that
Joy
stuff.
called me up, asked me and her both trying to walk her. I just learned it myself. I said, Joy, I just learned it last week.
I don't know how to put stuff on there. Do I need to move or stay here?
And before you came in, I just ran in the back with my son with my computer. Like, show me how to post on Instagram again.
Get you by your side.
So when you send stuff, I don't know how to do it.
No, that's why I used to tag you on that stuff, but then I thought about it. I said, Joy don't know what I'm doing, so I stopped tagging.
I'm like, I want to, but
Ain't no biggie.
I just don't know.
Ain't no biggie at all. When you become judge, you'll stop
What
using
the
it.
lights?
You know, the lights ain't working on that for some reason. Hit that light though, Latif. Spin that on there a little bit. Get this little light on her. There we go. That's what we need. All right.
Yeah, you can put your hand on it like that.
Make sure my clothes fixed.
You're nice.
You know, boys don't tell you when you.
No, you fine. I would told you.
You ain't gonna have to look at this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you always go into your cute mode anyway.
All right, here, stay there, Joe. Right, like you probably jump on the other side of you.
Come on now.
There we go. Stay there, Joe. And Joe, I'm gonna get a picture on your phone so you can take it. Okay, here, Joe, turn your phone on. Let me get a picture of you. All right, Latif, let me get one of her for her herself there. There you go.
Ooh,
Excellent.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Listen, you
thank
guys continue doing the good work,
Oh, yeah.
but I need to learn how to share some of this stuff.
You need to get you. Who you got? Who's bailiffing for you?
I'm gonna have to do the interviews after I get elected
Really?
because you should see how many people are rushing down to my office from
And within.
within the court. I'm like, hold on, what's your name?
So nobody worked on your campaign?
Mm-mm. Not full time like that. So
You know, those days seem to be gone.
I think they are. I
You
think
know,
they are.
They seem to be gone. They used to be they'll say, hey, I'll work on your campaign. I want to be a bailiff.
Mhm.
Y'all work hand in hand and get it done. It seemed like you said, that
I've
days
had
are gone.
amazing people help
Mhm.
out with the campaign, but there hasn't been like anyone like steady
Standing-
the whole time. The one girl is my financial person.
Mhm.
Initially, she was the person that was going to do it, but she's got a good degree in education, and
She won't be
I don't